Alright, legends, welcome back. You crushed the like goal again. So here we are with part 1 of New Story. I'm thrilled you're all hooked. And believe me, the best is still ahead. If you're hungry for part 2 today, let's smash 2,000 likes on this one. You know the deal. Your support keeps this going. Now let's jump right back in. The first scene begins with intense energy. A man charging forward with a sword. Another man runs straight into the sword, calling it a perfect strike. The tip of the sword, I've seen it 17 times. It's right in the center of his chest, and the man says, "This means this is my 17th death." Blood starts pouring from him. If I had just tried a little harder, maybe I wouldn't have died here. We see the man fall in the middle of the battlefield. He says, "If only I knew how to use the sword a little better." A blue lantern lights up, and someone says, "Is this what you truly believed?" Keep suffering. Fall into despair and surrender. The feeling of pain and blood, a wall you can't pass through. Then we see the man waking up again to the sound of footsteps. When another man sitting beside him says, "Woke up early today, squad leader?" The squad leader replies, "Hey, there's a bug in your boot." He looks into his boot, then throws the bug on the ground. "Did you put it there? Is this some kind of joke, Commander?" The commander answers, "Shut up. I saw that bug crawling toward your boot earlier." The man thinks to himself, "This is the 18th time I've seen this cockroach. If I see it again, how many more times? Will that be the end?" The man begins explaining, "I've held a sword since I was a little boy. I learned fencing from a retired soldier who came to our village by chance." We enter a small flashback where the soldier says, "That's impressive. With that skill, maybe you could be a knight too." Our hero, Ingrid, continues, "Then I started dreaming. Could I really become a knight? A knight who could defeat thousands alone and change the course of a battle. An invincible hero. The kind of hero who could end the war. They'd call him the Knight of the End. I always thought I was the hero from the Bard song. Let me leave the village." Then we see people laughing, saying, "Haha, did you see that novice again? The coward who's afraid of a wild dog wants to be a knight? You're not even qualified to be a mercenary." We see our injured hero, Ingrid. He says, "Ever since I left the village and joined the mercenaries, I've realized my talent isn't anything special. But it was still too early to give up. Hard work always rewards those who persist. Even if I'm not gifted, as long as I have time and effort, I can overcome anything." We see Ingrid hunting powerful monsters again and again. He says, "I gained experience. I gained strength and ability, and became known to those around me. I must become a knight. I have to." But that hope was completely crushed. When I was defeated by a child in a village I passed through, he challenged me to a duel and said to me, "Old man, you're really weak." Ingrid continues, "That boy was only 12 years old, and he had just started learning swordsmanship 6 months ago. The fool who spent more than 10 years swinging a sword until both arms were broken, lost to a child who had held a sword for just 6 months. Is that the result of all my hard work? Is there really no way, no path for me to become a knight?" People laugh when they hear my impossible dream, but I trained harder than others. I ate less, slept less, day after day, sword strike after sword strike. And one day I realized I must become a knight. Even if I never truly become a knight, maybe I could become a seasoned mercenary, someone respected by everyone. Now, 3 years later in the present, under Spurius's command in the 4 companies, I become the leader of a well-known second-tier squad. It's the best position I could reach after all my training. But still, being a soldier for the kingdom is far better than being a mere mercenary. We see Ingrid talking to someone. "Hey, Jackson." Jackson replies, "Yes, Commander." Ingrid tells him, "Do the morning chores for me, all right?" Jackson says, "You'll have to pay me next time, by the way." Ingrid turns to another man. "Reem, listen to me closely." Reem responds, "What? You want to give me orders too now?" Ingrid says, "The heart of the beast. What do you think?" "I want to learn it again." Reem laughs and says, "Didn't you already quit learning it last time? You really think anything will change this time?" Then Ingrid says, "The battle between Noila and Asmund has started again. I died in that battle. I returned to life, and I've been reliving the same day over and over again. And even though I learned the heart of the beast each time I return. I still can't avoid the sword that kills me. Today, for sure, today. I must get through this day. This is my 21st time on this battlefield. I've memorized every event. Suddenly, an arrow flies. We see our hero Ingrid fighting one of the knights. He dodges. I have to avoid the spears coming from behind me. And the second attack is coming from behind too. Then someone from the squad will die, Rib. But not this time. We see an arrow flying toward Rib. Ingrid blocks it. Then another knight jumps toward Rib. But our hero Ingrid dodges and cuts off his head. He says, I succeeded, even though I blocked the first arrow and dodged the next attack instantly. I completed my first objective for the day. The only one left now. He sees the most skilled knight of them all and says, every time I always end up facing this bastard. He stabbed me 21 times so far. But this time, I will survive. We enter a short flashback, and we see Rim saying, Commander, since you always shut your eyes in dangerous situations like this. He waves his axe in front of our hero's face. Our hero flinches and closes his eyes. Rim says, look, if you close your eyes like that in the middle of the battlefield, you'll die instantly, Commander. You have to be brave. You can't show weakness so easily. You must be a monster who doesn't even know what pain is. Just like the beasts. Open your eyes all the way and look at the whole battle. Then we see the second knight rushing at our hero. As he faces the sword, he says, the heart of the beast. That's the key. A beast that doesn't know the meaning of death. Am I afraid of death? No. Death only makes me stronger. He dodges the knight's first sword strike, and his heart pounds wildly in his chest. Then Ingrid says to himself for the first time, today, on the 21st day, I dodged his sword for the first time. Then Ingrid charges to strike back at the knight, the one rushing toward him at incredible speed. And I said, God forbid, he didn't block the hit or do anything at all. And the knight's sword pierces Ingrid's neck for the 22nd time, and he collapses to the ground dead. Next, we enter a strange place, and a strange man sitting on a boat says to him, on this endless day, I was overwhelmed by fierce banners and pulled into despair. Give up. Come onto my boat. Accept your weakness. Just let it go. But Ingrid tells him, no, that will never happen. You bastard. Then he says, I'm Ingrid. I saw the blade and managed to dodge it. Then Ingrid wakes up again on the same day he died. He sees Run, who says, you woke up early this time, huh? Early, squad leader. Ingrid replies, I'm progressing step by step. No, I'm challenging this again. On my 22nd attempt, I must succeed no matter what. We return to the battlefield again and hear a lot of shouting. We see Ingrid say, this time, this is the 33rd time. I can clearly see his sword strike. I'll dodge his blade before it even reaches me. We see the knight slashing to our hero's left, and he manages to wound him. Ingrid says to himself, damn, this bastard is so fast. And then Ingrid dies again, just like before. We cut to a flashback where Ingrid says, while working as a mercenary, I got some requests to subdue monsters. It wasn't something I was forced into. Not really. I found a random village, and they asked me for help. The reason I agreed to help them is because my dream was to become a knight, and protecting the weak is a knight's duty. We see a man place something in Ingrid's hand and say, our village is poor. This is all we can offer you. Ingrid looks closely and sees it's a talisman, like a chain worn on the forehead. He says, this was such a ridiculous reward for risking my life. We see the old man who gave him the necklace say, isn't this what you always wished for so deeply? And we see Ingrid dead in the middle of the battlefield. He says, could this be because of that thing making the day repeat? Even so, it's what allowed me to become a knight. We see the knight who always kills him saying, you should be learning. I'll show you mercy now. Ingrid reaches him and replies, mercy? Nonsense. All of this is nonsense. You're just a twisted bastard who enjoys stabbing people. And then the knight kills him again. We hear the sound of a bell ringing. Our hero Ingrid wakes up for the 34th time on the same repeating day and says, Reem, I put a bug in your shoe. Reem gets startled, takes it out, and says, "You're pulling pranks this early in the morning?" He says, "Finally, Commander." Ingrid replies, "Cut the nonsense and teach me the heart of the beast." Then they both head out together. We see Reem attacking him, trying to land a hit. But Ingrid dodges the attack. Reem says, "What are you doing differently? How did your heart suddenly become tougher?" Just like that. Ingrid says it's because he trained. Reem responds, "That's not something you can achieve overnight." But Ingrid says, "It's already happened more than 10 times. Reem says, "It's impossible to teach my family's technique to someone else." Ingrid thinks to himself, like he said, "It's a feeling I've learned from dying repeatedly." Ingrid asks, "So what? Maybe I picked it up by accident. Let's fight again, Reem." Reem laughs and says, "Looks like this is getting interesting." Then Ingrid continues and says, "So how long are you going to keep dodging, Commander? You've got to land at least one hit." Reem attacks our hero Ingrid again. Ingrid dodges the strike and says, "The only sword technique I have right now is the mercenary sword style, Valen. It's a weird technique created by a well-known mercenary named Valen. Some people talk badly about it and call it a cheap trick." Reem says, "Oh, your lower stance is really weak." Ingrid says to himself, "I've still got the technique that suits me best so far." Then he stands in a strange pose, and Reem is surprised by it. Then our hero Ingrid charges forward, using the same sword strike as the strange knight, the one who had killed him more than 10 times. But Reem manages to block the strike and knock Ingrid's sword away, sending Ingrid flying back. Ingrid says to himself, "Just for a moment, I copied that bastard's stab. After dying from it more than 10 times, my body remembers it." Reem says, "No, there should have been a bit of blood there, actually." Ingrid is puzzled by his words. Reem tells him, "Out of everything you've shown me so far, that stab was the best. Your hand needs to bleed, but you're doubting yourself too much. That attack can't afford to fail right now." Ingrid asks, "Okay, but what if that move gets blocked? What should I do then?" Reem replies, "You say, I can't dodge that. I'm dead meat now. That'll guarantee you don't lose your grip on your sword, and that you hold it as tightly as possible." Ingrid says to himself, "Even though he explained it badly, I understood what he meant. The difference between my stabs and that twisted bastard's? I had absolutely no confidence in my sword." Once again, we see our hero Ingrid lying on the ground, wounded in the neck. "I'll show you a little mercy this time." And he stabs our hero again. I have to stab with the intent to kill, not like it's training. Once again, we see Reem dodge his strike. And again, the knight says to him, "I'll show you a little mercy," then stabs him in the neck. Ingrid says, "I take one step forward every time." We see the knight saying, "I'm showing you mercy now." On day 111, after dying 111 times, our hero Ingrid says to the knight, "I'll show you a little mercy now." And on day 123, he says the same line. Finally, on day 124, we see Ingrid charging at Reem and knocking his weapon away. He brings the sword up to his neck. Reem says, "Are you crazy or what? Your hands are completely wrecked from all the blood pouring out. Why are you laughing like that, Commander? You look totally insane now." Ingrid says to us, "Guys, I've finally mastered that bastard stab. Now it's time to move forward from this day." Then we see Ingrid in the middle of the battlefield, saying, "Rush in with full intent to kill. I have to strike first." He charges at the knight, using his sword technique, but the knight blocks it with his shield. Ingrid takes the hit to the side of his shoulder. Ingrid says, "My first stab failed, but that's not going to shake me. I won't let go of the sword. Every time our blades clash, this stab has stayed stuck in my head." We see the knight fall to the ground, saying, "Your eyes, they're full of light. Go ahead." But our hero Ingrid catches him before he can strike. The knight says, "Huh?" The word tomorrow doesn't exist in the dictionary of death, and stabs Ingrid in the stomach. Then we return to the same day once more. We see Ingrid crushing something. He says, "I saw that cockroach." Ingrid says, "If you're grateful, take my place on guard duty today." Reem looks confused and says, "Why is he acting so indifferent with me?" Ingrid replies, "It's day 125. After Ingrid heads out, he says, "You, with the big eyes." Ingrid tells him, "Give me leg armor, a shield, and a dagger. I'll pay you back later." The red-haired boy replies, "Later? Sure. I'm helping you because you're the commander, even though I don't like helping anyone." Jackson says, "Yeah, I was always the one getting stuck with your assignments, you slackers." A third person chimes in, "Good luck, brother." Reem is surprised by our hero Ingrid's behavior, who says, "That's how today goes." He starts training and says, "I feel immense pain every time I die. So what happens if I never win? After thousands or even 10,000 times? Do I find a way to escape and survive? Do I sleep and wake up to tomorrow? Or do I just wake up to the same day again? I'm stronger now than I was before. Shouldn't that be enough? No, that's not an option for me. I have to overcome the wall, whatever's standing in my way. I've learned the stabbing technique. I'll never give it up. Never. Nor will I give up the dream I've held onto all my life." He starts putting on his leg armor, then grabs his shield. He says, "I have to keep pushing forward." The drums of battle begin again. We see Fred and Ingrid preparing himself. Ingrid steps into the battlefield and says, "I survived this battle, even without enough skill, thanks to 3 things. Good training, good luck, and staying calm under pressure. On day 46, my left shoulder was shattered. I need to move and strike him quickly from the start. On day 71, a soldier cut my leg tendons, and that stopped me from doing anything." We see someone strike Ingrid's leg with a sword, but he finds a leg guard in the way. Ingrid smashes a shield into the man's head and crushes it. On day 89, my head was split in half by an axe thrown by one of the enemies. Then Ingrid grabs the same axe that was thrown at him and slams it right into the head of the man who threw it. Then he says, "After all I've been through, Phil again? From behind?" Ingrid blocks an arrow coming at Phil for the 7th time and says, "A bowman called Falcon Claw will show up. I don't have time to waste on him. That's why I have to move forward. It's time to face the wall standing before me." And the stabbing freak appears right in front of Ingrid. They lock eyes with fierce looks. The knight charges at our hero, but Ingrid blocks the blow using the shield he got from the red-haired guy. The shield breaks, but Ingrid pushes forward. He says, "Running and stabbing won't give me any shot at victory. He's just an ordinary soldier, but he's so strong it feels like a miracle." The soldier is shocked and says, "It looked like he was attacking, but he blocked instead." Ingrid continues, "He takes pride in his real battle experience. That's why now it'll be easier." And he slams his head into the man's face. He says, "The mercenary sword style of Valen, in all its forms, works well against him." Then Ingrid throws dirt into the man's eyes. He draws his sword and prepares to strike him down with a powerful blow. But the second knight rushes in and attacks him with his own blade. But Ingrid, for the 2nd time, dodges the knight's sword. The knight spins around at full speed and charges Ingrid again. Ingrid says, "Now I know everything he's going to do, every move of that stab." He clashes swords with him and shatters his blade completely. Then we see one of the archers. He fires an arrow at Ingrid. Ingrid is just about to finish off the knight in front of him and says to himself, "Now backslash. Now is my moment of victory." An arrow is coming right at Ingrid's head. We dodge it. Wait, is that an axe that Rem threw? And we see Ingrid finally get his revenge on the knight who stabbed him countless times. He kills him with a stab right in the neck. Rem says, "I'll handle that Falcon Claw bastard." Jackson replies, "It's too late. Don't waste your energy." We see that it was Ingrid who killed the man, and the man falls to the ground. Then Ingrid stands up and gives a respectful salute for the effort the man gave until the end. Then he draws his sword, looks at the knight, and says, "Your share of mercy, it's mine now." And with a legendary move, he slices off the head of the knight who had killed him hundreds of times. Ingrid says, Finally, I shattered the wall that had always held me back." But suddenly, something comes from behind and strikes him. Ingrid falls to the ground in terrible pain. His teammates notice, and they all rush in to help him. To their surprise, the attacker is a frog-like figure with a human body. The frog looks down at our hero Ingrid, and at the knight he just killed. He says, I invested so much into him. I can't believe someone like you actually beat him, and chopped off his head. Ingrid is in intense pain, and the frog-like figure is about to kill our hero, Ingrid. But Rem blocks the axe. With an incredibly fast throw, he strikes the frog, who blocks the attack. But Rem follows through with his strike, and the frog continues his assault as well. And we see one of the knights about to kill our hero, Ingrid, who's lying on the ground. But Jackson comes from behind and stabs him straight in the neck. Then we see Rem and the frog backing away from each other. If you want to cut off our leader's head, you need permission first. The frog says, that weakling is your commander? Not you. Rem says, the Frog Warrior clan fights from the moment they're born. I'll have to burn this damn frog with magic or pierce his heart with a single blow. What a nuisance. Rem clearly looks annoyed by the frog. This battle isn't even worth all this trouble. So the frog retreats and walks away. Next, we see the 4th Division demolishing the enemy in battle. They take down most of the opposing fighters. And for the first time, they manage to protect Commander Ingrid, after he died 100 times before. Then an order to retreat is given, and the commanding officers begin withdrawing from the battle. We see our hero, Ingrid, and the man on the boat says to him, you managed to stay alive for one day, but that's all you'll ever achieve. You won't be able to overcome the countless obstacles that'll keep appearing in your path. Your fate is despair and surrender. Ingrid replies, my fate when it comes to obstacles, they only showed up so I could break through them, not so I could fall into despair. The man responds, I'm eagerly waiting for the moment when those eyes, so full of ambition and greed, go completely blank. Ingrid wakes up in what looks like a medical tent or infirmary. He says this place. One of the people there says to him, you're in a field medical tent. You don't mind sleeping for a day or two straight, do you? I saved you from the frog that attacked you, remember? Ingrid replies, frog? What frog exactly? He thinks to himself, was that really a frog in the end? What's amazing is that I actually survived. Rem says, your bones aren't broken, but they told me your head took a pretty bad hit. Remember me? Your best friend forever. Ingrid replies, I never said we were friends, noble hunter. Rem puts his hand over his mouth and says, that's someone else's secret. It has nothing to do with you. Does that mean you can go saying it out loud in front of everyone? Ingrid replies, are you someone who has nothing to do with me? Or my best friend? Make up your mind. Then Ingrid says, a new day after that day. I finally made it out alive. The red-haired man says, do you know how much I spent to get you in here? You gonna pay me back? Triple, Commander. And we learn his name is Chris. Ingrid thinks to himself. Chris asks, didn't you fight in the battle? Do something like that. Chris laughs and says, I'll give you a special discount. Then Jackson shows up. Ingrid says to him, what's up? You wanted to tell me something? Well, go ahead and say it now. Jackson throws something to him and says, use it twice a day, morning and night. And don't ask where I got it. Later. Then he walks off. Ingrid says, isn't this the ointment Jackson always uses? I thought he hated sharing his personal stuff. We then see another member of the 4th Division holding something in his hands like he's praying, looks like a monk, and his name is Odin. He walks up to Ingrid, who says, just go, Odin. I'm not dead yet. Later that night, he says, what's going on with them? Are they taking shifts all the time? Instead of sleeping, are they doing whatever they want? Is it because they're worried about me? The truth is, another member of the squad shows up. His name is Ragna. He says, Commander, but Ragna walks away. Ingrid thinks to himself, there's no way that's Ragna. That guy usually doesn't care about anything. Next to me, there are 2 soldiers in the medical tent. One of them is a squad or platoon leader. The other one is just a soldier. I don't know his name, and he's wasting his time staring into space. He looks like he holds a low rank. So how did he even get in here? Still can't figure it out. Suddenly, a strange woman walks in while Ingrid is looking around. We notice she's an elf. Our hero, Ingrid, seems surprised and curious about her. Everyone looks at each other. One of them says to her, "An elf?" She asks him, "Which division are you from?" He replies, "I'm in Tikami, commander of the 3rd platoon in the 2nd company." She says, "Do they teach you in your unit to announce your race when speaking to your superior?" Tikami apologizes to her. Ingrid thinks to himself, "I wonder if she's the new commander of the 4th company." Then he says, "I'm Ingrid, commander of Squad 4 in the 4th company." She replies, "I've heard you manage a rowdy team well. I look forward to your contributions." Ingrid is puzzled by her words. When she walks away, he wonders, did she come all this way just to say that? But the man stops her and says, "Wait a second." She looks at him, surprised, and asks, "What's your name?" He replies, "My name? Crank. Crank." Ingrid, surprised, thinks, did he just make up that name? The way he's acting around the base is suspicious. Could he be a noble? She looks at him, then walks away. And she walks off. That night, we see our hero, Ingrid, resting. Tikami asks him something. Then Tikami continues speaking. Later, we see Ingrid training, saying, "I need to recall the last battle. It's one of the few useful methods I spent a lot of money learning as a kid. A last-second thrust. What would have happened if I failed? It's not wise to put all your eggs in one basket. If that attack failed, I would have died. Especially since all of Rem's attacks are deadly. After I strike with my full strength, comes the next move." Then he hears a voice saying, "You working hard? Honestly, I don't even know what you're doing." Ingrid replies, "I'm doing it to strengthen my grip. Right now, I'm reenacting the battle." Crank asks, "Why are you doing that?" Ingrid answers, "So no one can take me down." Crank says, "And if you don't get taken down, then what? Do you want to be something just by surviving?" Ingrid is caught off guard by the question and thinks, "What I want to be is my dream. But every time I say it out loud, people laugh. It's a simple dream for someone with my humble talent. But I've never stopped wanting to achieve it, becoming a knight." Then Ingrid says to Crank, "A knight? The first time I've seen this." Crank asks, "Seen what exactly?" Ingrid replies, "Someone who didn't laugh at me." Crank says, "Your father, your mother. I realized what I need to do after watching you train." Then Crank walks away. Ingrid thinks to himself, "That's the first time someone supported me." Before Crank walks off, he says, "If you do become a knight, remember my name, friend." Then we see someone singing for the Cyber Squad. Tikami wakes up and says, "Why hasn't breakfast arrived yet? Are they planning to eat everything and leave us with their nonsense?" Ingrid replies, "After waking up to that singing, you waited for the late breakfast? I took a slow walk instead of heading to training." We see Jackson sitting and asking Ingrid, "How's your injury?" Ingrid replies, "The medicine's working well. Thanks." Jackson says, "If you're grateful, hurry up and come back to us." That night, we see Crank wishing Ingrid a good night. Ingrid thinks to himself, "Going to sleep early was all I did." Then Tikami says, "You lunatics, you're talking nonsense while we're trying to sleep." Ingrid replies, "Nothing happened today. I didn't do anything at all." Then our hero Ingrid wakes up again to the sound of someone singing, "Who's the hero of the battlefield?" Tikami says, "Why hasn't breakfast arrived yet? Are they planning to eat everything and leave us with their stupidity?" Ingrid says, "They're so loud." He's saying the same thing as yesterday. Wait, what's going on here? No. Is this the second day our hero is going to relive? With many different deaths. All this and more. We'll find out in the next parts of Knight's Tale. And that's the end of part 1. But trust me, this is just the calm before the storm. If you're ready for the next insane chapter, smash that like button, drop your wildest predictions in the comments, and stay locked in. Because part 2 is going to be next level. Stay legendary, and I'll see you there.